Every morning the clock resets. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, or how much is sitting in your bank account. We all get the same 24 hours. The billionaire and the beggar, the genius and the struggler, the dreamer and the door. Time doesn't play favorites. It flows without prejudice, without pause, and without pity. And that's why time is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter how loud you shout or how strong your hands are. You can't stretch it, you can't rewind it, and you can't store it for later. But what you can do, what all successful people have learned to do, is respect it, manage it, and use it wisely. Life doesn't hand you meaning automatically. It's built moment by moment, choice by choice, in the seconds most people don't even think about. A man who masters his time is a man who becomes master of his life, because time is not money. Time is life. You lose money, you can earn it again. You lose time, it's gone forever. That makes every second precious, more valuable than gold, because no price can buy a moment back once it's passed. There's a temptation to think that some people simply have more time, but that's a myth. What they have is more clarity. They don't let time use them. They use time. They don't drift from task to task or kill time hoping the day gets better. They rise in the morning with intention. They assign purpose to the hour. They show up early. They stay focused, and they understand that how you use the minutes shapes the outcome of your years. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's not the busiest who succeed. It's the most disciplined. It's not about filling the calendar. It's about filling the day with value. 1 minute spent with purpose is worth more than an hour wasted in distraction. That's the difference between surviving and growing, between wandering and becoming. You want to change your life. Don't wait for the next big thing. Start with the next 10 minutes. Own that, and you begin to own everything. People spend hours regretting the past and fearing the future, while the moment right in front of them withers away. But you can't plant seeds in yesterday's soil, and you can't harvest fruit from tomorrow's orchard. You only have now, this second, this breath, this choice. And the more aware you become of that, the more alive you are, because time is not just passing, it's offering. Every second is an invitation to become more than you were a moment ago. Every second gives you a chance to start, to decide, to move. And this is where personal responsibility kicks in. You can't control the ticking clock, but you can control what you do between the ticks. You don't need a new year to begin something. You just need a decision. And if that decision is made now, truly made, then you've taken the most powerful step anyone can take. You've started to make time work for you instead of against you. When you respect time, you begin to see it differently. You stop resenting the early mornings. You stop dragging through the afternoons. You start living on purpose. You walk into each day like it's a mission. You begin to protect your focus like treasure. You filter out noise. You make the call. You take the walk. You write the page. You practice the skill. You read the book. You act like each second matters because deep down you finally understand that it does. Not because someone told you, but because you've seen the difference. You've felt the progress. You've built something from seconds that others would have wasted. And that's when you know you've stepped into the ranks of those who don't just live time. They lead it. Every moment that passes has a value far greater than most people ever realize. We often think a wasted moment is harmless, like it disappears without consequence. But nothing is more expensive than a second wasted in the wrong direction. The true cost of a wasted moment isn't just lost time. It's lost opportunity, lost momentum, lost growth. It's the conversation you never had, the book you didn't write, the habit you didn't start, the dream you delayed one more day until delay became denial. Because when you waste a moment, you don't just pause life. You slowly surrender it. We've all heard the phrase, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow is the safest hiding place for every regret we'll one day carry. People don't set out to waste their lives. They simply waste their minutes. Minutes add up. And what was just a little scroll, a little nap, a little postponement becomes the reason you never cross the finish line. A moment may feel small, but its power lies in multiplication. Waste enough of them, and you wake up to find a year gone. Waste enough years, and you wake up to a life half lived. One of the most dangerous traps of the modern world is the illusion that there's always more time. We say, it's just 5 minutes. We say, I'll start after the weekend. But 5 minutes is enough to make a call that changes your business. A weekend is enough to write a plan that changes your year. It's not about size. It's about purpose. Time isn't lost in huge chunks. It leaks out drop by drop while we're busy doing things that don't matter, scrolling through someone else's life, distracting ourselves from our own. The problem isn't that we don't have time. The problem is that we don't recognize time's value until it's behind us. We honor time with our words, but we often disrespect it with our actions. We say life is short, but we spend hours arguing about nothing. We say we want to grow, but we spend days stuck in comfort. That contradiction is the cost. Every wasted moment is a withdrawal from your future. And unlike money, you don't get a bank statement showing you how much time you've spent. You only notice when it's too late to reclaim it. Discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about honoring time. You don't need to schedule every second, but you do need to become aware of them, because every moment carries a consequence. Every moment asks you a question. Will you invest me or spend me? One builds, the other disappears. When you waste a moment, the danger isn't just that you lost time, it's that you lost belief. You chip away at your confidence, you delay your progress, and you reinforce a habit of hesitation. Some people wait for the perfect moment. But that's another form of waste. The perfect moment doesn't come. It's made by showing up. Show up when it's inconvenient. Show up when it's uncertain. Show up when you don't feel ready. Because wasted time doesn't announce itself. It sneaks in when you let your guard down, when you make excuses, when you underestimate the compound effect of consistency. One missed day becomes a week. One delay becomes a pattern. And then you look back, not even sure when the drift began. There's a reason successful people seem obsessed with time. It's not because they're afraid of running out. It's because they understand the cost of wasting it. They've felt the sting of delay. They've counted the price of missed chances. They know that a single moment used right can change everything. So they guard their time the way others guard their possessions, because they know time is the foundation on which everything else is built. When you begin to see every moment as a seed, you stop throwing them away. You begin to plant even when it's slow, even when there's no applause, even when no one's watching. Because the cost of a wasted moment is not just the moment, it's the harvest. That moment could have grown. A person who wakes up with intention carries a different energy. There's a power that comes when you know what you're about and where you're going. Life without intention is like a ship without a compass, drifting, floating, pushed around by every wave of circumstance. But a life lived intentionally moves with clarity, with rhythm, with quiet confidence. It doesn't mean everything goes according to plan, but it does mean that even when the storm comes, the direction remains. You see, most people are not really living, they're reacting. They wake up to alarms, to obligations, to other people's priorities. They scroll, they rush, they complain, they cope, but they don't lead their own lives. And when you don't lead your life, you start existing in someone else's version of what life should be. You stop choosing and you start settling. But legacy is not built by those who settle. Legacy is built by those who choose, on purpose, every day, every hour, in ways big and small. Intentional living is not about perfection, it's about alignment. When your actions match your values, when your calendar reflects your priorities, when your energy is invested in things that truly matter, you begin to build something that lasts. And legacy, true legacy, is not measured in applause or followers or trophies. It's measured in impact. It's the mark you leave behind, not in stone, but in people. In lives touched, in lessons passed on, in the example you lived loud enough that others could follow it without hearing a word. To live intentionally, you must first get honest. Honest about what matters. Honest about where your time really goes. Honest about the habits you've formed and the ones you've been avoiding. That honesty becomes the foundation for change. Because once you see clearly, you can no longer ignore the difference between business and purpose. You stop chasing everything and start focusing on what gives life meaning. You start saying no, not out of selfishness, but out of clarity. Legacy doesn't start someday. It starts today. It starts with the way you treat a stranger, the way you show up when no one's watching. The effort you bring to tasks others see as small. It starts with the example you set for your children, your team, your friends. You don't need a stage to leave a mark. You just need consistency. You need to live in a way that whispers to others, this is what integrity looks like. This is what effort feels like. This is what it means to care. Intentional living also means you stop waiting for more time, waiting for motivation, waiting for things to calm down. Life doesn't wait, and neither should you. You take ownership. You decide, you move. You start each day not with dread, but with direction. You greet the hours not as something to endure, but as tools to craft something beautiful, even when it's hard, even when it's unseen. Because you know every choice is a brick, and the wall you're building will stand long after you're gone. One day someone will talk about your life. Maybe at a table, maybe at a gathering, maybe in a quiet moment when your name comes up. What will they say? What will they remember? That's not about ego, it's about responsibility. Because someone is always watching. A child, a neighbor, a friend. And the way you live gives them either permission or limitation, either a spark or a shadow. When you live with intention, you give others courage to do the same. Every second you live on purpose becomes a part of that invisible story you're writing, the one that will echo beyond your years. And you don't write that story in one grand gesture. You write it in the ordinary, in the unseen, in the seconds you decide to make count. And when those seconds stack, when those intentional choices become a lifestyle, your legacy is no longer a hope. It becomes a reality shaped not by chance, but by choice. Success rarely arrives in big dramatic moments. It's not a spotlight, not a parade, not a single thunderous victory. It's quiet. It's subtle. It often looks like repetition, like a choice made again and again when nobody's watching. The people who reached the top of the mountain didn't get there by luck or one-time effort. They got there by taking one small, deliberate step at a time. Over time, those steps compound. And the truth is, the big picture that everyone admires is built by the small daily disciplines that most people ignore. There's a deceptive simplicity to daily disciplines. Because they seem so small, so ordinary, so unglamorous, it's easy to underestimate their power. A 10-minute workout, a 15-minute reading session, one page written, one kind word spoken. These don't look like world-changing actions. But stacked day after day, they become the framework of transformation. Discipline isn't about doing one hard thing once. It's about doing the right thing often enough that it becomes a part of who you are. The danger comes when we seek the big leap and overlook the small steps. We want instant change, so we ignore consistent effort. We want the breakthrough, but we don't want the process. Yet growth doesn't come from one intense burst. It comes from faithful persistence. It's like watering a seed. You don't see results on the first day or the fifth, but you keep watering because you believe in the unseen. You keep going because you trust the process more than your current feelings. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't bridged by motivation. It's bridged by habits. Motivation is fleeting. It can vanish with a bad mood, a tough day, or a single distraction. But discipline remains. Discipline says, show up anyway. Discipline says, do the work, even when you don't feel like it. And every time you follow through, you cast a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. That's how character is built. That's how confidence is earned, not by hype, but by history. By showing yourself you're reliable in the small things. You don't need to change your entire life in one day. You just need to change your direction. You need to commit to one better choice today, and then repeat that choice tomorrow. Small disciplines stack like bricks. One by one, they create a foundation strong enough to carry a future you once only dreamed of. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Missing a day isn't failure. Quitting is. But when the habit becomes part of your identity, it's no longer a struggle. It's your standard. Every discipline carries a reward, but the reward isn't always immediate. That's why most people give up too early. They plant a seed and dig it up the next day to check for roots. But the wise understand that results take time, and time respects the diligent. They know that while others are chasing shortcuts, they're quietly building a system, a life system based on discipline, not emotion, based on habits, not hype. And over time, that system starts to produce fruits that others can't explain. Success in health, in business, in relationships, it all follows the same principle. Show up, do the work, stay the course. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. And the longer you walk in discipline, the more momentum you build. You start to notice how yesterday's effort makes today easier, how today's consistency creates tomorrow's progress. You stop waiting for the big break and start focusing on the next right step, because you've learned that the person who masters their minutes eventually masters their destiny. The difference between mediocrity and greatness often lies in what a person chooses to do with the ordinary moments. Most people waste them. The disciplined use them. Most people complain about not having time. The disciplined create time through structure and focus. They understand that the most important things in life aren't urgent, but they are essential. And so they make space for them daily. They invest in the small things that don't make headlines, but build empires. They win not by accident, but by routine, because they've discovered the secret. Greatness is not an act. It's a habit. There is a fine line between urgency and anxiety. One moves you forward, the other holds you back. One clears your vision, the other clouds your mind. Urgency is the quiet, focused awareness that time is limited and must be used wisely. Anxiety is the frantic, unfocused fear that you'll never have enough time to do anything right. Urgency empowers, anxiety paralyzes. The key is learning to live with urgency without letting anxiety take the wheel. Living with urgency means treating each day like it matters, because it does. It means understanding that every hour you have is a gift, not a guarantee. It means recognizing that opportunity doesn't wait forever, and that the window to act, to change, to grow is closing a little every day. Urgency is not about panic. It's about purpose. It's about waking up with a plan and moving through your day with presence, knowing that each action you take is either a step toward your future or a step away from it. The problem is that most people confuse motion with movement. They stay busy, but they aren't productive. They run in circles, chasing tasks, burning energy, answering emails, checking notifications, but they aren't building anything meaningful. That's anxiety masquerading as effort. That's not urgency, that's reaction. Urgency doesn't mean doing more. It means doing what matters. It means stepping back, looking at the big picture and saying, if I only had a few chances today, where would I invest them? Urgency also creates clarity. When you truly understand that your time is limited, you stop entertaining distractions. You stop wasting hours on meaningless arguments, toxic relationships, and empty habits. You start asking better questions. What is the highest use of my time right now? What must be done, not eventually, but today? Urgency helps you say no, not out of fear, but out of focus. Because when you know where you're going, everything that doesn't align becomes noise. At the same time, urgency without wisdom becomes self-destruction. That's where anxiety takes over. That's when people rush into decisions, skip rest, burn out, and lose perspective. Real urgency doesn't mean you never pause. It means you pause with purpose. You rest not to escape, but to refuel. You reflect not to doubt, but to learn. Because moving fast without direction is no better than standing still. Urgency asks for speed, yes, but more importantly, it asks for strategy. Many people live as if they have forever and then wonder where the time went. But those who live with urgency live fully. They squeeze meaning out of moments others overlook. They show up early, listen deeply, speak intentionally, and act decisively. They don't wait for ideal conditions because they know ideal conditions are rare. They act in imperfect moments because imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time. They know the clock is ticking and that wasting time is more expensive than any mistake they could make. And urgency isn't just about work. It's about relationships too. It's about telling people what they mean to you before it's too late. It's about fixing what's broken now, not later. It's about picking up the phone, saying the hard truth, showing up when it matters. Because later is the most dangerous word in the language of purpose. Later becomes never when it's spoken too often. People who live with urgency love deeper, give more, and hold tighter to the things that count. There's a certain energy in a person who understands urgency. They don't waste their words. They don't waste their talents. They don't waste their life waiting for the right time. They create the time. They live like today counts, because it does. Not in a frantic, stressed out way, but in a grounded, focused, passionate way. They understand that peace and urgency can coexist, that you can live with fire in your belly and calm in your mind, that you can move fast without losing your center. Because when urgency is guided by intention, it becomes the engine of a life well lived. There's a rare kind of person who knows how to fully live where they are while steadily building toward where they want to be. They don't just chase the future or dwell in the past. They're grounded in the now, but guided by vision. Living present while working ahead is not a contradiction. It's a strategy. It's the art of being fully engaged with today's moment while refusing to let go of tomorrow's ambition. It's understanding that the only place you can actually take action is now. But what you build now determines what tomorrow will hand you. Most people fall into one of two traps. They either live stuck in the past, regretting missed chances, old failures, and moments they can't relive, or they live far off in the future, dreaming about success that never arrives because they're too distracted to do the work today. Both are prisons. The past can teach, but it cannot lead. The future can inspire, but it cannot act. All real power lies in the present. And when you treat each day as a platform, not just a placeholder, you begin to gain momentum in ways others don't. Living in the present doesn't mean being careless or short-sighted. It means being alert, aware, fully alive to the people in front of you and the choices within your reach. When you're present, you listen better, you think deeper, you feel more. You make better decisions because you're not operating from habit or autopilot. You're conscious. You're awake. And there's strength in that kind of awareness. You begin to catch the small opportunities others miss. You start seeing beauty in the ordinary. You become more grateful, and gratitude is a magnet for growth. But being present isn't enough. It must be paired with preparation, because the people who live with only the moment in mind often wake up unprepared for what's next. Life is not just about feeling. It's about foresight. That means while your hands are working in today, your eyes stay fixed on where you're heading. You invest in your future self. You learn the skills you don't need yet. You build the habits that will support you when things get harder. You save when there's nothing urgent. You build when there's no applause. That's how you stay ready for the opportunities that others call lucky. The key is rhythm. You don't sacrifice the present for the future, but you don't ignore the future for the present either. You create moments of joy while laying bricks for the foundation of something lasting. You work hard today and still pause to feel the sun on your skin. You push yourself toward a goal and still find time to laugh with the people you love. That balance is rare but powerful. Because when you live fully today and work smartly for tomorrow, you double your return on time. Planning is part of honoring the present. When you plan, you remove tomorrow's confusion. You give yourself permission to rest more fully today. You stop reacting and start leading. And when tomorrow becomes today, you're not scrambling, you're executing. Your mind is clear because you've already thought ahead. You don't just hope the day will go well. You've structured it. That gives you an edge most people never develop. You stop being controlled by circumstances and start directing your outcomes. The strongest lives are not built on rush or regret. They are built on intention. They're built on people who knew how to be fully present in the smallest tasks while keeping the bigger mission in view. They paid attention to the details, not because they were obsessed with perfection, but because they knew how you do the small things is how you'll eventually do the big things. And they worked with a quiet urgency, not to prove something to the world, but because they had a vision that burned inside them. You don't have to choose between joy today and success tomorrow. You can have both. If you're willing to show up now, give your best effort, take care of your responsibilities, and still keep building what's next, you can enjoy the process without losing the pace. You can take breaks without breaking your commitment. Because when you master the balance of living in the moment while working for the future, you stop living life on accident and start creating life on purpose. Make every second count, not in theory, but in practice. Because time is the only currency you can never earn back. Each day arrives with a full account, and how you spend it determines what kind of life you're building. Time is the great equalizer, but what you do with it is what sets you apart. Every wasted moment carries a cost, often invisible until it's too late. The habits you build in the quiet, the disciplines you repeat when no one's watching, those are the invisible hands shaping your future. The urgency you bring to your life should not be driven by panic, but by purpose, knowing that now is all you have and now is all you need. Live with intention. Show up every day as if it matters, because it does. Speak like your words leave echoes. Work like your actions leave footprints. Be present enough to value today and wise enough to prepare for tomorrow. Stack your seconds with meaning, layer your hours with focus, and let your days reflect your values. That is how you make time serve you. That is how you build a life worth remembering. That is how you make every second count.